young Africans must define and create their own legacy. A strategic approach rooted in history. What are we talking about? We are saying, don't accept the description that says you are leaders of tomorrow. No, you must lead today.
Yes, sir.
You must be soldiers of the revolution today. What do we mean by legacy? Legacy means a collection of achievements by one generation given to future generations. A collection of achievements that one generation bequeath to future generations. That's what we mean by legacy. And what are we talking about when we say generation? What is your generational question? What are the issues today for you as young people? The issues for Mandela in the 60s, the issues for Biko in the 70s, the issues for Malcolm and Martin in the 60s in America. What are your issues, your generational mandate as young people today in the year 2018? Why don't you think about those problems affecting your community, your people, as you exist today in the year 2018? We go to Frantz Fanon. What did Frantz Fanon say? And I quote, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover their mission, fulfill it or betray it. Close quote. That's Frantz Fanon speaking to you today. Every generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it or betrayed. So what's your mission, young people? What's your mission today? That's what we're talking about. You must have some kind of generational consensus on the issues. You must have some kind of generational transfer where you learn from those in the past who came before you. That's what we're talking about. What do we mean by strategy? For you to have a mission, you must have a vision, a picture of the world you want, a picture of the Africa you want. Once you have a picture of that world, once you have a vision, then you craft what's called a strategy, a game plan, the how. It's one thing to paint a picture, what we call the house on the top of the hill. What's important is, once you are clear on the picture and the vision, you must craft the game plan. You must craft a strategy, the how of achieving the vision. That's why we're saying a strategic approach. Why are we emphasizing history? A page of history is worth 10 volumes of logic. I know you like maths and physics and logic. Forget all that. Just a page of history will give you 10 volumes of logic. George Padmore, W. Du Bois, Kwame Nkrumah, Pan-Africanism, you learn a lot from history. So as young people, let's understand the meaning of this discussion today. Young people must define and create their own legacy. They must learn from history, they must be strategic. Let's go to history a little bit. Look at Kwame Nkrumah. What did Kwame Nkrumah say? In 1960, when they crafted their constitution in Ghana. We as Ghanaians are prepared to surrender our sovereignty in part or in total in pursuit of African unity. Yes. Can you see the vision? We can't be free. The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked to the independence of the rest of the African continent. That's vision, that's a mission, that's a desire to go somewhere. Ben Bella from Algeria. What did Ben Bella say? We must die a little so that South Africa can be free. We must die a little so that Rhodesia can be free. These are people, young people who came before you, who had a vision, who had an agenda of liberation. Now, as young people, we're moving now to the area of saying, what is the legacy that you must create as young people? Number one, understand the meaning of our discussion. Secondly, then we say, what is the legacy that you must define and create? Must answer that, paint a picture of that legacy. And then third and last, you say, what am I going to do? How am I going to achieve the legacy? Then we are done. Now, what is your legacy? Before you craft a legacy, before you define a legacy, you must have a vision. Look at what Nkrumah, Nyerere, Ben Bella, Mandela were trying to do. They've achieved political independence. We have political freedom. We have democracy. What's missing? Economic freedom. What's missing? Prosperity is missing. So as young people, your vision must be around shared economic prosperity throughout Africa. Your vision must be around the eradication of poverty. You have heard about these Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, 2030, Vision 2030. Why don't you go to the 17 of them? There's 17 goals, SDGs. As young people, why don't you look at those goals, these 17 of them, and say, we must achieve these 17 goals by the year 2030. Eradication of poverty, eradication of hunger, shared prosperity, shared economic growth, sustainable economic development, climate change, the green agenda, infrastructure. Your mandate is to address what Mandela could not deliver. Mandela did not deliver economic freedom. Mandela never delivered prosperity. Neither did Nkrumah or Gabo Nyerere. We are still hungry. There's no economic freedom in South Africa. The white people still own the economy. Don't blame Mandela. It's your task now to deliver economic freedom. Yes. Don't blame Lekki. It's your task now to deliver economic freedom and economic prosperity. That's the debate of your time. We now can vote. We have Cyril as president, Mnangagwa, Kagame, these African leaders. But there's no prosperity, there's poverty, there's hunger in Africa. That's your charge. In Africa, free from hunger. In Africa, free from poverty. In Africa, where there's shared prosperity, economic prosperity. What are you going to do about it as young people? Biko, yes. Mandela, Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, all these revolutionaries, PAC, ANC, APLA, Zipra, Zadla, Frelimo, they delivered political independence. They delivered the vote. But we are still hungry as Africans. Yeah. So why don't you and I get a conversation going in creating an Africa where there is shared and sustainable economic prosperity? That should be your vision. I want to see in Africa where the per capita income, where the Gini coefficient, where the African is balling out of control economically. Now, once you paint a picture, then you have to say, how do I get there? And in trying to get there, you create a legacy. Mandela in them, remember what Mandela said? It always looks impossible until it is done. Remember, this is 100 days of Mandela this year. 100 years of Mandela, centenary. Let us learn from Mandela. He said to us, it always looks impossible until it is done. So I'm sure you are saying, hey, how can we get rid of hunger completely? How can we make sure all these Africans, 1.3 billion Africans, have access to health, access to education, a good job, a house? Isn't it impossible? It always looks impossible until it is done. Can you imagine spending 27 years in jail pursuing a vision? We're not asking you to go to jail for 27 years. But Mandela did. Some people died for the vote. They died for political freedom. What are you prepared to do as a generation to ensure that we have shared and sustainable economic prosperity so that we achieve the 17 SDGs? That's your vision, that's your mandate. And then you must come up with a strategy to achieving that vision. And in the process of achieving that vision, you create a legacy. What's a legacy? A collection of achievements that one generation gives to future generations. Mandela, Mugabe, Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah, Mbiko, Chris Hani, Joe Slovo, Mbeki were able to give political freedom, were able to give political independence to the African. So forever and ever, you are going to owe Mandela. Forever and ever, you are going to owe Ben Bella for freedom, political freedom, for the vote. When the generations are here in 100 years' time, what are they going to owe you? What are you going to give them? Let us give them shared and sustainable economic prosperity. Let us solve those 17 SDGs. Go figure, go Google them, go check them out. And make sure we achieve all 17 of them. Be very clear in terms of our framework. You must have an understanding of the potential legacy you can give the future. Number two, you must be very clear on what you're going to do to achieve it. What are you going to do to achieve it? Several things. Black excellence. You've been told today about black excellence. Black excellence is a weapon of struggle. Black excellence is a means to achieving your legacy. Entrepreneurship is a strategy. It's a method, it's a weapon, it's a tool you can use to help Africa achieve economic prosperity. Technology, the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, blockchain technologies, robotics and mechatronics. Don't get frightened. These technologies are highly applicable in poor Africa, are highly deployable. You can deploy them in Africa to make a difference. Think about cell phone banking, M-Pesa and EcoCash. Do you realize there's nothing in Japan, there's nothing in America that compares to EcoCash and M-Pesa? Because of our poverty, because of our lack of development, we're able to leapfrog from the physical bank to the wireless bank. So right now, we give the world global best practice in terms of mobile banking. So who knows, in terms of artificial intelligence, who knows in terms of intelligent algorithms, who knows in terms of blockchain technologies, who knows in terms of nanotechnology, we could actually leapfrog. So don't worry about our poverty and lack of development when it comes to technology. It could actually be an opportunity to leapfrog. 80% of our people have no brick and mortar banking. So therefore, there's a market for mobile banking. Whereas in London, in New York, there's a bank at every corner. So who needs to bank on a phone? But because there are no banks in Kenya, there are no banks in Zimbabwe for everyone, mobile banking tech. So I am saying to you, young people, technology, elements of the fourth industrial revolution are potential tools you can use to achieve your legacy, a shared and sustainable economic prosperity through technology. Education. What does Mandela tell us? Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Close quote. Remember, this is 100 years of Mandela. Let us learn from Mandela. So going to school, formal education, informal education, continuous education. Education is a weapon of struggle. You as young people can use education as a means of achieving your legacy. Remember, the most powerful weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Who says that? People. Education can used to decolonize your mind. Decolonization of education. Decolonizing your mind. Don't tell me we were decolonized in 1994. Don't tell me we were decolonized in 1957 in Ghana. Don't tell me we were decolonized in Zimbabwe in 1980. No! What happened in Ghana in 57, in Zimbabwe in 1980, South Africa in 1994 was physical decolonization. We're still mental slaves. Our institutions are colonial institutions. We need an agenda of decolonization in academia, decolonization in industry, decolonization in our society, and promoting Africanization. That's your agenda. Mandela did not deliver decolonization. Kwame Nkrumah did not deliver Africanization. Our schools in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, our universities are still colonial relics. Our minds are still colonized. Ben Bella did not deliver that. Becky did not do that. You are going to decolonize the African mentally. That's your legacy. When you look at Biko, when you look at Ben Bella, when you look at Nyerere, when you look at Becky, when you look at Mandela, don't be intimidated. These were normal people like you who achieved a legacy and left an agenda for you. There is work in progress. There are outstanding issues. That's what you and I have to address. So that 100 years from now, they'll say that generation was able to deliver decolonization of education. They were able to achieve Africanization. They were able to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. That's your agenda. We are discussing the tools. We are discussing the instruments of achieving your vision. Technology, entrepreneurship, education, black excellence. These are the strategies, the game plan, the weapons you can deploy to achieve your legacy as young people. Remember, young people, young Africans must define and create their own legacy. In doing so, they must have a strategic approach. In doing so, they must learn from history. Very important that we understand the key drivers of your legacy, how you're going to get to your legacy. We must learn from history. We must pick up from where they left. And as you do this, remember, you must be leaders. You can't be a follower. No follower can create a legacy. Biko was a leader. Mandela was a leader. Kwame Nkrumah was a leader. Mbeki was a leader. Leadership means stepping up to the plate. Leadership means to say, I'm here. I want to serve. It's not a position, it's a behavior. Leadership is about values. Yes, sir. It's about sacrifice. Self-sacrifice. What are you prepared to give up to achieve your vision? What are you prepared to give up? Mandela was prepared to give up a third of his life. young people in Apla, young people in MK, young people in Zipra and Zanla, young people in Kenya, Mau Mau, died for us to have political freedom, died for us to have the vote. What are we prepared to do? Are we prepared to step up to the plate and become leaders? What another tool we can use is continental integration. You spoke about it earlier on today. Break down those borders. These borders are so artificial. Number one, for example, do you realize that there are more Botswanas in South Africa than in Botswana?
Yeah.
So what's about Botswana? There are more Swaz in South Africa than in Swaziland. So what's Swaziland about Swaziland? It's Eswatini, now they've got a new name now. So these borders are artificial. These borders are, there are many people in Mozambique and Zimbabwe who speak the same language. They have no meaning. Take down those borders the way you are doing it. So it's a meaningless construct. More importantly, under globalization, we won't survive as fragmented economies. Let's look at the numbers. Zimbabwe, population, 12 billion people, GDP, $15 billion. Botswana, population, 2.3 million people, GDP, $16 billion. South Africa, population, 55 million people, GDP, $300 billion. These are not economies, these are Mickey Mouse economies. Chicken change, South Africa, you're too small. You can't make it in the world. Let's go to SADC. What numbers now? We talk about 280 million people. We talk about the GDP around $600 billion. Let's go to the FTA area, COMESA, ECOWAS. The big one, the most important one is the African Union, Continental Free Trade Area. What are the numbers? 1.2 billion Africans, $2.3 trillion GDP. Can you imagine? You woke up and say, here I come, I'm the African. I speak on behalf of 1.2 billion people. I speak up on behalf of a GDP of $2.3 trillion. I have a massive resource base. Can we talk China? Can we talk India? Can we talk America? They'll listen, not out of love, out of economics. Because you have a massive population, a market for their goods. 1.2 billion people, you have a GDP of $2.3 trillion. You have massive resources. They will talk to you and you can extract better deals. We can't allow small countries to negotiate with China. Zimbabwe negotiating with China. Botswana negotiating with China. South Africa. You get short-changed by the Chinese. Yes. They are pursuing their national interests. But when we go together as a continent, we're able to extract more value. This is how young people, you must force your governments, you must get into governments and pursue continental integration, economies of scale, economies of impact. Because what are the numbers? India, 1.1 billion people, right? And their GDP, $2.5 trillion. China, 1.3 billion Chinese, GDP, $11 trillion. The Americans, 325 million people, GDP, $19 trillion. Now those are economies. And the Africans can make sense when they're working together. We are talking about the tools, the weapons you can use to achieve your vision. Remember your vision. What's your vision? A shared and sustainable economic prosperity in Africa through continental integration. Because when we work together, we can have a massive economy. But there's a problem. That's why you need to become leaders and be active. You know why it won't happen? Your presidents, your little presidents, they don't give up. You know what? When we unite in the United States of Africa, there'll be one president, maybe from Burundi. So Cyril Ramaphosa will be Minister of Local Government. Mnangagwa will be minister of police. Kagame, Mutambara, are these people ready? They are not. They want to be president of starving people. You want to be president of starving people. What am I emphasizing, young people? I'm telling you that there's no such thing as a free lunch. If you are going to have regional integration, you must give up on some elements of national sovereignty. You must give up on some pettiness to embrace the big picture. We'll be able to succeed, but we must give up on these petty ambitions to be president. Look at, I understand some people not coming in because of visas. Why should we have visas for Africans to go to an African country? Regional integration, continental integration are the weapons we can use to achieve our legacy, your legacy. Let's integrate these economies. Let's make sure we work together. Think about minerals. They always tell us you can't do beneficiation because we don't have critical mass and so on. Let's imagine we're working together as Africa. We bring the diamonds from Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Angola into one cluster. Can you imagine if you have a diamond cluster with Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Angola? Who is going to be bigger than us in the world? Who will name the price for our diamonds? Who benefit our diamonds because we control the world market by working together? The diamond cluster. Platinum, Zimbabwe and South Africa together, we control 95% of world platinum. We'll be able to write the rules on platinum. We'll be able to beneficiate and produce catalytic converters. Beneficiation will happen if we work together in these industrial clusters. We can do the same thing for steel, for oil, and so on. The African can achieve prosperity if we work together. These are the tools. These are the strategy. Beneficiation. You know, we sell our materials raw and buy teaspoons, buy nails. Why can't we produce our own cars? Design our own car, build our own car. Design our own computer, build our own computer. Design our own cell phone, build our own cell phone. Remember, if we do it together, there will be a market for 1.3 billion people. So whatever you produce, there will be a market for it. Governments will say, look, here's an Ubuntu car designed in Malawi. We must buy the Ubuntu car. All the governments will buy the truck from Malawi. All the governments will buy the computers from the DRC, the cell phone from Zimbabwe. So if we work together, whatever product we produce, there will be a market for it. Surely, some of you have got 3 phones, 4 phones, 2 phones. Why can't you have one Ubuntu phone in addition to your Apple phone? You have 3 TVs. Can't you have one made in Soweto TV, made in Cholocho? Remember, by the way, decolonization is about decolonizing the customer. Would you buy it when it says made in Cholocho, made in Mpumalanga? But you want Sony, you want Honda, you want Nissan, you want Apple. But guess what? After the Second World War, Japanese products were very inferior. No one wanted to touch Japanese. Toyota, Honda were inferior. But the Japanese bought their products. Over time, they perfect. Today, Toyota is number 1. Honda is number 1. Sony is number 1. From local support. So our Ubuntu car, our Ubuntu cell phone, our local aeroplane. Why are we buying Airbus and Boeing? Surely can't we have one country in Africa producing planes that we buy as Africans? There will be a market for those planes. Because right now it's Airbus and Boeing. That's it. So let us make sure that we understand. Remember, don't miss the forest for the trees. Have a sense of the Africa you want. Understand how you're going to get there. Entrepreneurship, technology, education, continental integration, 4th industrial revolution, beneficiation. These are the weapons you can use to get to the top. And leadership is very critical. And as I finish, I want to emphasize this. You have had the big debate. Are leaders born or are they created? Please discuss. People argue, I know leaders are born, you're born as a leader, and so on. I know leaders are created by Harvard, by Vince and Fort Hare. What is the answer? Are leaders born or are they created? Now the answer is none of the above. None of the above. Leadership is a decision. Leadership is a choice. You have the choice to be a leader or not. You can decide to be a leader or not. Let's look at history. Mandela, I know he was born, he was a little chief. He didn't go to Harvard, he didn't go to Wits, he went to 4th year, he didn't finish. So he was not created by academia. He was not an eloquent speaker. He made a decision to stand up to power and sacrifice his young life for 27 years. He delivered freedom. Not because he was a born leader, not because Harvard created him, not because of Oxford and Cambridge. No. He made a decision to be a leader. Go to Gandhi. Gandhi was an average lawyer in South Africa, very mediocre. Nothing there. But he made a decision to say, I want to fight for freedom for the Indians. Now Gandhi is a legend. Gandhi is an icon. Decision. Leadership is not about education. Leadership is a Malcolm X, grade 9. Malcolm X did not go to Harvard, to Princeton, to MIT, or to Caltech. He never went to college. Or when you listen to Malcolm speak, it's like he's got 10 PhDs. He made a decision to be a leader. And by the way, leadership is not a position. Malcolm had no position. King had no position. Yes. They were moral leaders. Yeah. Leadership is a behavior. Wow. What is your behavior? Is your behavior leadership material? Martin Luther King, yes, he went to Boston, got a PhD from Boston, but he wasn't a leader because he went to Boston. And what is Boston University anyway? There's Harvard, there's Yale, there's Stanford. He went to Morehouse and then Boston University. So he was not created by education. He wasn't created by the academy, although he had a PhD at 25. He stepped up to the plate and said, I don't want oppression. I don't want my people to be oppressed. Leadership is a decision. Malcolm, Martin Luther King, Mandela, Biko, Gandhi, Winnie Mandela. Yes. Sisters, Ellen Brown, sisters, yes. All these great leaders, the black females, they made a decision. Please, I'm saying this as I conclude to say, don't feel that, well, I was born poor. I was not born into a rich family. I didn't go to UJ. I didn't go to Wits. I didn't go to university at all. I never went to Harvard, so I can't lead. No. Leadership is a choice. Leadership is a behavior. Now that you remind me about the women, remember when we say empowerment of women, when we say equal rights, it's not charity, it's not morality, it's not human rights, it's more than that. It's what we call womenomics. Womenomics. Women leaders are better leaders than men. Yes. Women managers are better managers than, there's research, by the way, in our men saying that. Yes. I don't like it, but it's a fact. There's research done by Harvard that shows that when women are given a chance to be a manager, they run the company better than the men. When they are given an opportunity to lead, they lead better than men. So womenomics is the economy as driven by women. Womenomics is the economy as structured by women. Womenomics is the economy as experienced by women. So please, when you empower women, you're not doing them a favor, you're doing yourself a favor. Winnie Mandela, great leader. Celine Johnson, great leader. And now we don't have any other African president leaders. So we're shortchanging Africa. Africa is in trouble because there are no women leaders. Women will do a better job. So I want you to understand this field called womenomics. And young women, you must realize that this is your moment to create a legacy. Leadership is a choice. Leadership is a decision. So as I conclude, number one, understand that every generation must, out of necessity, out of obscurity, discover its own mission, fulfill it or betray it. That's coming from Frantz Fanon. So what is your generational mission? For you to have a mission, you must have a vision. The mission is the journey towards your mission, your vision. And in the journey, you create a legacy. But when you define that legacy, you must come up with the tools. You must come up with the instruments you're going to use to achieve your vision. And as I conclude, let me say this to you. I know some of you are saying, I want to be a superstar banker. I want banking. I want to be a businesswoman, a superstar businesswoman. I want to be a journalist, a superstar journalist. I want to be an academic, a professor of note. I don't care much about Africa, but I want to do well. Guess what? You got a problem. You got a problem. You know, I used to go to Davos, World Economic Forum, and I would speak. You know, I like speaking. And they say, hey, we like what you're saying. Very interesting. Where are you from? Then I try to avoid answering. I keep talking. I'm coming from Harvard, I'm coming from MIT, rockets. No, we know that we're at NASA and MIT, but what country are you from? Then I try to avoid. Eventually I say, I'm from Zimbabwe. They're like, come on. You're from Zimbabwe. If you are such a rock star, how come your country is based down? If you are such a bowler, when are your next elections? How come you got cholera in your own country? Sure. What I'm saying is, you'll never be a superstar African until the African economy is a superstar economy. You'll never be respected as an African until the African continent is done well as a continent. So I beg you to have a vested interest in creating your legacy, and your legacy must be a shared and sustainable economic prosperity for the continent of Africa, so that you are respected wherever you are. Thank you.
So what I'd like to ask is what you think is the role of volunteers in addressing Africa's challenges? Because personally, I believe we have all the skills that we need to solve all the problems in the continent. We're just selfish about skills.
How do we then access our older generation to help us? Because sometimes we undermined, we're not seen, when it's necessarily the older generation that we need to open up those doors for us. And we're very Pan-African. We've actually just opened up our own office in Zim last week. So that's what I'd like to know.
Just because we're here and some of us are entrepreneurs, including myself, can we please now exchange, for those who are in media and stuff, let's exchange that platform so that we can actually sell products towards each other and break borders. Because we can't beat the Chinese and others if we're failing to have a meeting like this and then even don't have an exchange. Like there's someone who knows something. So I'm just asking that you can advise us on how we can do it better. And after he has made a point, can we please network on that one?
Based on how political autonomy and economic autonomy is linked together, and how Africa is colonially segregated in different forms that we're seeing today. We have Anglophone Africa, the English speakers. We have Francophone Africa. We have Lusophone Africa. And of course we have North Africa, now the Arab world. So when we talk about integration, how are we meaningfully able to do that when our relationship with those colonial factors are different? For example, French colonies are paying colonial tax. But you know, in terms when they look at us on the Anglophones, they think that we have more opportunity. And we have such a discrepancy in terms of how we relate each other in terms of language, because we don't understand French, some are speaking Arab. So how are we able to break those colonial ties first into, break those into economic autonomy? Thank you.
What I want you to take away from this meeting is that there's no one way of creating a legacy. We need young people in every sector. In the NGO community, in business, in academia, in politics, in local government, in international affairs, in media. So feel free to choose an area where you can push the legacy. But what we want as a generation is to have clarity on the nature of our legacy. But in terms of participation, we need young people as volunteers. We need them to step up to the plate and play a role as volunteers. Why are we having donors and volunteers from other countries coming to save us? and not having Africans being volunteers and involved in their own communities. So we feel very strongly about the importance of young people being volunteers. You know, can you imagine when there's a crisis, you have people coming from Europe to help out with Ebola? Why can't you mobilize young people from South Africa, from Botswana, to go and handle problems in West Africa and vice versa? So please, there is no one way of being a creator of the legacy. And also age, I mean, I'm glad you raised that your age is 26. When you look at Thomas Sankara, when you look at Malcolm, when you look at the Panthers in America, the Black Panther Party, when you look at the Civil Rights Movement, when you look at APLA and MK fighters, when you look at Zipra and Zala, you see young people, 18, 19, 20. Mandela, when he started, these young people, your age, were able to make history. So age is on your side. In fact, when you are younger, you are more radical, you are more revolutionary. When you get older, you become conservative. You have too many constraints. Now is the time to kick butt and make a difference. Now is the time for you to be creators of legacy. When you get older, it's too late. So I want to emphasize the issue of taking advantage of being young. Now, the issue of older people and young people, we need what we call generational transfer. There must be a way of the old activists, the APLA, the MK, the ZANLA, the ZIPRA, the people in the Civil Rights Movement in the US, to sit down with new generation fighters and see what we can learn from them. You don't need validation, but you need to learn lessons, generational transfer. There are things you can learn from a Thabo Mbeki. There are things you can learn from the generation of Chris Hani. Let us have a formula through the Institute, a way of getting the old revolutionaries who are tired and now resting to fellowship with young people who are active. Because now they are not players, they are not revolutionaries in the economy, but they have lessons about struggle, lessons about sacrifice, which they can teach the young one. So we need to formalize what I call generational transfer from the older generations to the new ones. And also, even informally, let us learn from those who came before us, who tried some, don't reinvent the wheel sometimes. Our leaders, we need to make sure that SADC is about the people. SADC is about civic society. The AU is about civic society. The parliaments, the NGOs, the universities, the research institutes, so that the SADC leaders, the AU leaders must not own the AU. The AU must be owned by the people. So it's your job to make sure they're answerable to us. Make sure in your parliament in Botswana, in your parliament in Rwanda, in your parliament in Ghana, they are discussing the Agenda 2063. They are discussing the MDGs. You can push the agenda of continental integration by being an activist. So we have to mobilize, we have to engage the leaders so that SADC, ECOWAS, the FTA area, and the AU are serving the Africans, the citizens of that element. Media is very important. Let us tell our own story. Let us own our narratives. The young Africans must be telling the African story and not foreigners. And also, we must make sure that we work together in the media. Now, big problem, Anglophone, Lusophone, Francophone. That was another magic trick of dividing us. I'm Anglophone, I'm Francophone, I'm Luso. You are not, you are an African. You don't identify yourself by your oppressor. Anglophone, who made you an Anglophile? I'm Francophone. So again, mental slavery. The most powerful weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. We are mentally enslaved to say, I'm Anglophone, I'm Lusophone. So we need cultural integration in addition to economic integration. We need to make sure we break the borders, the barriers between this situation. Now, exchange, very important. We must start now. Execution, doing, by sharing in this platform, sharing information, working together, providing markets for each other, providing networks for each other, providing capital, insights, and ideas for each other. So we must make sure that in this platform, we have an opportunity to actually do just that, to actually share and network. But I want to thank you very much for inviting me and emphasize to you that please don't worry about what Mbeki thinks or Ramaphosa or Kagame or Mnangagwa. Every generation of young Africans will define what it means to be a young African. It's your mandate. Don't listen to anybody but yourselves. Thank you very much.
The discussion had 3 sections. The first section was understanding the importance of legacy, the importance of generational intervention, the importance of learning from history, the importance of strategy. That was the first part of the discussion. The second part of the discussion was to say, let us define that legacy we want as young people. Let us create that legacy. And the legacy is as follows: shared and sustainable prosperity in Africa. Mandela, Ben Bella, Kwame Nkrumah, Mbeki, Mugabe delivered political independence. They delivered political democracy. They did not deliver decolonization. They did not deliver economic freedom. They did not deliver economic prosperity. So the agenda, the mandate for the young people, their legacy will come from the pursuit of shared and sustainable economic prosperity, achieving the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. The last section of the discussion was to say, what are you going to do to achieve this vision? What is your game plan? What are the elements? What are the tools to achieving that vision? Number 1, entrepreneurship, technology, education. All these are vehicles young people can use to achieve their legacy. Black excellence, continental integration, beneficiation. All these are the drivers, the engines we can use to achieving the goal, the legacy of economic prosperity. In conclusion, I emphasize the issue of leadership. Leadership is a behavior. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a way of life. Leadership is about values. And I address the question, are leaders born or are leaders created? And my argument is very simple, none of the above. Leaders are neither born nor are they created. Leadership is a decision. Leadership is a choice. And my challenge and charge to the young people today was to say, choose to be a leader. Decide to be a leader. Leadership is a choice. Leadership is a decision.
Breaking Down Borders Africa Youth Summit 2020.